All right, so what do graphing compound inequalities look like? Well, we know that it's going to depend on the type of inequality we have. Ands are going to be having the shading heading towards one another, ors we're going to have the dots going the opposite directions. So for the first one, I see that we have an and inequality. So I know that my shading is going to fall in between my two dots. Well, when I'm making my number line with an and inequality, I want to make sure that I've got enough numbers that I can get to both of the ends of my piece. So I needed to get to -2 and I needed to get to 7 because I need somewhere to be able to put my dots. Now, to be able to know what dots I'm putting, I need to look at the sign that's directly next to the number. So 2 is less than or equal to x, so I know we're going to need a closed dot. And the same thing over here. X is less than or equal to 7, so we're going to need another closed dot. Once I've got my dots, I have to think about my shading. Since x falls in the middle of those numbers, we're going to be shading in the middle of our dots. Or graphs are going to be the complete opposite. Again, we need to place our dots first. We have x is less than 10, so I need to come over to 10 and have that open circle to represent that less than. With x being greater than or equal to 14, well, I know we're going to need a closed dot. It's okay to have two different kinds of dots. That's going to happen sometimes with compound inequalities. We just need to make sure that we're paying attention to what the particular sign is telling us to do. Now, when we're thinking about shading, because we have an or inequality, we're going opposite directions from each other because we need the numbers less than 10 and bigger than 14. So that's why we're shading in opposite directions. It's also important for or inequalities to make sure that your number line doesn't stop right at the numbers we're working with. If you notice, I went one more in either direction, so I would have some room for my shading. So you want to make sure that you do that so I can actually see that you're going the opposite direction for your shading and you're not just hitting the end of your number line right away. So I gave you an example of each of them. I want you to try finishing the rest of these graphing ones. Then you'll be able to check your answers on Schoology.